is presented by BF Goodrich Tires. Take control.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. Lights are out on the pace car. And Dorsey, let's take a quick look at what is really a remarkable track.
This is a great road racing series, 2.26 miles around this racetrack. But there's an equal balance of fast straightaways for power and really tight corners for handling. The guy that gets both of those equations maxed out will win this race today.
And the field just coming by the actual finish line here, but of course they start as they head into what we'll show as turn 4 in that area of the track. Here they come through turn 1 right now. By the way, before we go green, we'd like to wish Kay White, who does scoring for the Trans Am Series. She fell and broke her ankle very badly at Road America a week ago. She's at Valley View Medical Center in Plymouth, Wisconsin, and we wish Kay a very speedy recovery. Kay, we miss you.
Love you, Kay.
All right, here we go. They come around what they call the keyhole here, and then it's that long run heading down into the Yeses, aptly named when you add that to the next couple of corners, Madness.
This corner right here, the most important on the track, is called the keyhole. And see that big concrete patch to the inside there? Trying to get traction off this when you got over 650 horsepower, that is the issue. And getting it onto the road and down the straightaway gets you the win at the other end. Watch this at the beginning.
Yeah, watch here. They're getting awful close. And this was the issue at Portland.
They wouldn't dare this week. They wouldn't dare. There they go.
And there's the acceleration. Boy, and Archer may have read that beautifully. And remember, you can pass around the outside into this right-hander here. It's been called the Tracy move, but Jen Losey's going to cover it pretty fast and furious. And it was Bell. Got a great start, Doris.
Another guy that got a good start was Brian Simo. Moved up a couple rows back there, so he'll be in the fray.
Down to the bottom of the S's, there's Bell, the orange machine, in third. There's Lewis up in fourth. Ave, and he's getting pressured. That's Boris said. Boris wants the front. They touch. I think they just rubbed each other just a little bit there. And they almost touch again in 11.
Hey, Boris is ready to play hardball, no doubt about that. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the fact that Ave's in that glory car. I guarantee you that.
And we get a report, Dorsey, that it's possible Simo may have moved and improved his position prior to that start line. He may be getting a black flag stop and go. We'll keep you appraised of that. Now, one thing, now we're looking way ahead to the end of the race, but Boris is the only gentleman of the front runners. There it is. There's the open black flag for Brian Simo, which means he will have to stop for a stop and go. So his season, which has been iffy at best, goes from bad to worse there.
It's been a dismal year for Brian Simo. So many years from behind the wheel. Of course, I said he had a great start. That's the reason why he started before the green.
What I was going to say about Boris as we look at Brian, Boris is the only gentleman of the front runners who's put a hard compound BF Goodrich tire, the G-Force TA Radial, on that left rear tire, which is a more loaded tire than anything else here. If we get a lot of grain and it's warm out today, that could pay off pretty big near the end of the race.
Greg, that's a good point. It's very hot out today. We just ran a 2.5-hour race before this, and I don't know what the racetrack condition is. It might also hurt him if the racetrack is real slippery.
Boy, we saw Ave try and take a run at Lewis, who was equally looking at maybe a pass on Justin Bell, that bright orange Justin Bell GT Motorsports experience. You see it up in the distance there as we ride on board with Johnny Miller. That's Leighton Reese, the Manor Engineering Phillips 66 vet. And I think, is that John Bockham? I believe it is. John Bockham has pulled. That is a shame. He knows this track, the Safequip Bully Dog Technologies Ford Mustang, and it's a real unfortunate development. He knows this track incredibly well. Last fall, you were here at the runoffs. He won not one but 2 national championships over that weekend at the Valvoline runoffs.
We watched John here do very well, and he ran a Fiat 124, did really great moves up to the Trans Am Series. Not going to happen today.
On board once again with Johnny Miller, and we were talking about the possibilities for Boris. Calvin Fish, you got any ideas on just what his thought process was?
Well, I think he's really frustrated, Greg. He, in fact, raced in that earlier race today, and he was hot and heavy out there and didn't have a great run. They won at Portland in that BMW, but he didn't have a great run today, and he's certainly frustrated. That's certainly shown in his driving. And meanwhile, Brian Simo, the 88, has taken his stop and go at the pit out. He's back on course, but lost a lot of track position.
So that takes him out of the mix. There is a look at Boris Said, and that's a good point. He just drove a large chunk of a 2-hour and 45-minute endurance race. It is hot here, and he's obviously going to, well, he might get a little break here as we go full course yellow, no doubt, for John Bockham's car, who was just off the edge of the track. So we have a full course yellow, but Boris, he's an Iron Man.
He's an Iron Man. I mean, anybody else, you know, would feel the pain and feel the heat, but Boris has no feel. He just knows how to go fast.
No fear, no feel. He's just going to keep going. So there is the pace car about to head out and pick up the field. And Bachem, boy, he was really looking for a good weekend here based on his performance at the runoffs last year. And it qualified quite well, really, up in the top 15.
Greg, he pulled the car up to right there to breaking the fence. You see him talking to the corner workers. He's familiar with those guys. Obviously has a problem, but the car isn't completely dead. For some reason, he pulled it over. So I think he's taken himself out of this race for some reason that we don't know yet.
So there's a look now at Simo after that stop-and-go penalty, and he is way, way at the back of the pack.
But, of course, it helps him. You know, this will bunch the field up. Simo already paid his penalty, so now he's back at the slower car end of the field and would, you would think, get through there pretty quickly. He's also going to have a lot of adrenaline and some anger.
So the full course yellow continues here at Mid-Ohio. We're going to go back, Dorsey, and take a look at that start. And I think Simo, you see one of the cars in the grass, Simo just to the right of the screen, just behind that fence. And I'm not sure. There were a lot of cars everywhere, but he must have actually moved it a little bit further back in that straight, perhaps.
Well, it is surprising. I saw the move. You know, you were calling the front of the race, and I saw that the yellow car was coming up, knowing it was Simo. But, you know, from where the green flag is and where we saw that perspective right there, I can't say that it jumped the start.
Yeah, he qualified 10th, and it wasn't real clear that he'd advanced much more than that. But the rules say you can't move out of line prior to getting the green either. So that may have been the issue. We'll find out when we come back. Formula One continues to be a big story. Even though Michael Schumacher has clinched the championship, still Spa is on the horizon. And it will be carried live right here on Speed Vision Sunday, September 2nd, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Formula One Belgian Grand Prix live Sunday, September 2nd, 7:30 Eastern Time here on Speed Vision. Now there is number 86, John Bachem, on the hook. But take a look at the number on the back of that car. He's got that curly thing at the top of that 6. That looks an awful lot like an 8 at distance. And the front and back of that car are yellow. And we think there may be a bit of a development here. Take a look at this, Dorsey.
On board with Kerry Alexander. Watch to your right. Watch John Bachem, the 86 car, not the 88. There he goes right there by 1 row. He's in the grass by 2 rows. And that is what I think they called Brian Simo. There it is again. Look at Simo here. He's on the inside of this pack of cars. That's Bachem who jumped that start. It was not Brian Simo.
There's no question that it certainly looks like it was Bachem. Now let's get down to the pits as Calvin Fish is caught up with Simo's car owner, Tom Gloy.
Tom, what was Brian saying on the radio about that initial start? I mean, there's some conjecture it may have been a different car to the yellow machine of Brian's.
Brian has absolutely no clue. Absolutely no clue. From the first moment we told him about it, he's beside himself. Obviously, they made a wrong call. Why they can't review on TV before they make a call like that, I mean, it's so simple.
Have to come through the pack here in Mid-Ohio as well.
Well, it's impossible. I mean, you know, we don't really have to spot the field, the whole length of the grid. I mean, what's the purpose?
Dorsey said you're always causing trouble, Tom.
Yeah, no, the problem is I didn't cause it this time.
And you can see he's pretty despondent about that. Let's go back and take a look at the onboard from Alexander. Now, actually, Simo is a few rows up in front. There goes Bachem, yellow nose, number 86, but that hook, that's exactly what had to happen because Simo never did move. It's
and there's the starter stand on your upper left right there. It is definitely Bachem. There is no question about it. And Simo's trapped in the middle of that big fray, but does that looks like an 88.
It does. Speed. I mean, that loops around. And when we first came back, and we had a much more distant camera angle. As we go back to green, we are green. And it's Gentilozzi up front, Archer, Bell up to 3rd, Lewis 4th, and Ave sits 5th. But looking at it on that first camera shot we had, that would be about the distance one of those observers would have. That sure could look like an 88. Oh, look at this. Ave taking a look. We're on board Bell, but Ave went down the inside of both. That's Bell with Lewis right along the outside. They didn't touch, but they very well. That is 2 professional drivers doing an exceptional drive around the corners.
That's what I like to see. Where 3 guys go wide, where only 2 can make it. And instead of taking each other out, they give us the room. And it isn't over yet. That was only the 2nd lap or something.
Now look at Ave. Once again, he takes a look. He's not going to get Bell, but he was thinking about Lewis. Not going to happen. And Lewis back around the outside of Bell.
Oh, watch this.
Oh, he gets up. They touched, and you can see that was Bell got very squirrely.
Boris
also loosened up. Lewis and Boris took advantage.
Boris was there, watched it all happen. Of course, you could see that. We all knew it was going to happen. You know, that little bump.
We all knew. All right, now down through the exit of Madness. Now this is up as they head into turn 11, and here's the rise. We showed you that great video of Jen Lozzi. Here, getting light. This track, there's 2 places on that where it'll spin the tires on you if you're not thinking ahead.
You know what, Greg, you're absolutely right. It comes off of the ground 2 times a lap. That was one of them right there where it lifts the back usually, but 2 turns before that, it lifts the front wheels, does a big wheelie there.
This is into the section they call the carousel. Ave takes a little different line there than some of the other cars. Meanwhile, Jen Lozzi leads it, heading down into turn 1. Jen Lozzi again had his 6th pole, 3 wins this season, but Dorsey talked about it in the open. Really, it's almost as if the concentration and focus on what he needs to do has fallen off in the last couple of races.
Yeah, but this is his home track, and I think he feels better here than on any other track. He's always been really quick at this racetrack, and he knows now that the pressure's on. I talked to him about it. He said, "Can you believe I got away with what I did last weekend? I was off 5 times." I said, "I know, I saw it."
Well, the amazing thing is then at Portland, where he got black flagged, he also had to stop for problems with overheating and the like, still ends up at the podium, and 4 or 5 offs last weekend, ends up on the podium. He can make those mistakes, and still he's quick enough to get right back in the fray. There's Ave, and that's that wrinkle.
Lower left-hand corner right there. I think that might have been administered by Mr. Said there.
I think you might just very well be correct on that.
It looks like a Said squash.
Now that's not an area of the car that's really going to affect too much. Yeah, it is. We just get a report now that it was apparently Boris gave him the old chrome horn on his way by. But I mean, Boris, obviously you saw that Bell got all loosened up. Lewis was struggling, and obviously Boris just trying to wedge his way through, tapped Ave.
Well, good thing for Ave anyway is that damage will do absolutely nothing. It's not in a critical point as far as the body fastening goes, and it won't rub the fender, so just a dent.
Now there's Mike Lewis sitting back there in the 5th spot. And here comes Ave showing the nose into turn 1. That's more a psych move. It's awful tough to make a pass in 1 if you don't get immense help from the guy you're overtaking.
Well, you better clearly be right alongside of him when you get to the turning point. Otherwise, you're risking it all. Speaking of that, here comes Boris. And he wants a piece of Justin Bell. Justin, though, I got to tell you, has really come a long way. He's our Rookie of the Year point leader, and he is driving the car now really well.
Well, the one thing he was, when I talked to him a couple of races back, he made a comment to me. He said, you know, when we were driving the Vipers and the Vet last year in the ALMS series, because those cars make a lot more downforce. They have the extractors and all the diffusers and the like. And he said, it's taken me a while to get used to 650 horsepower without a lot of grip. But he seems to be coming around, and you can see, even though he may not have been putting up numbers a former FIA GT2 world champion would, look at that, 52-point lead over Miller, Fix, Lazaro, and Tom Miller. So Justin's still getting the job done very nicely, thank you. And on this track, this new body style makes a little bit more grip. He may be in for a good run. It certainly showed in qualifying. Welcome back to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We're just about a lap away from being a third of the way through our 45 laps here in our 9th round of the Trans Am Championship. We're under full course yellow, and it happened during the break. Here's what happened. You see, that's the number 19 machine, the Central Power Distributors Camaro of John Schaller, and he had a bit of a moment. We're going to take a look at it, Dorsey, and not a lot of damage on the car. We speculate something happened to him and locked up the rear end.
Yeah, he had a major mechanical. I mean, it's caused him to spin for sure. He doesn't make any attempt whatsoever to get the car to roll, and they've got the rear axle off the ground, which means it's probably not going to roll at all because it's got a broken diff or a blown-up engine or something. Now, of course, right before we went to break, there was some tremendous action up in the S's, and we want to show that to you. We're on board here with young Justin Bell. Now, watch what happens right here. Dorsey, there's a bunch of contact in the S's. That's Mike Lewis trying to work the outside. Now, of course, next corner's left. He doesn't give Justin room. Look, rub. Nope. Justin saves it, but look behind. Boris just sideswiped through and got by Tony Ave and moved right there. Now, it wasn't much after that. Watch what happens here. Boris Said got a great run and just a classic late braking move. Down the inside at turn 7, entry of 7. That's Justin Bell you're on board with. He gets through cleanly.
And it wasn't done yet. Now watch this. This happened right before the full course yellow, and Mike Lewis, another classic outbraking maneuver at the end of that long straight, that nice slippery jag just down the inside and past.
I think Lewis felt the pressure from Ave, knew he had to do something.
Yeah, so it's Gentilozzi, Archer, Said, Lewis, and Bell, your top 5 now. During the yellow, of course, awfully busy down in the pits. Cal?
Well, I just did a quick roundup of all the teams. I spoke to Rocket Sports about Paul Gentilozzi. They are running the water brakes. This is very hard on brakes here at Mid-Ohio. What Paul tends to do is to give it about 3 or 4 laps, let the brake rotors get up to temperature, and then he will start to use that water on the brakes. Now, it's a spray mist, and when he uses that, it brings the brake temperature rotors down from about 1,200 all the way down to 1,000. That really makes a difference, particularly on the long runs. Speaking of long runs, we're going back to green.
Back to green as we complete our 15th lap of 45. There's Ave. He's thinking about it. He wanted to get down the inside of Justin Bell. Justin having none of it. And Ave now, if he lost a little momentum exiting that turn, he's got Leighton Reese all over the back of him. Now Ave pops to the outside as they head into the keyhole. The top 4 looks set. Ave long side, but that is very much the long way around. Thinks the better of it. Now he wants to get a drive out of the keyhole and do something down into the S's.
Well, Tony Ave has most experience in the open wheel car where you dare not bump, and he's not used to using the chrome horn, as we call, and muscling his way by. I think he's about to learn that lesson.
Here comes Miller, by the way, and that is Reese. So Reese was looking at Ave, and meanwhile Miller went after him. But look at Leighton around the outside. That's what I was talking about. Gives him the inside line at the S's. But look at Miller. He's trying to stay with him. Trying to get a drive off the corner. Can't do it. Has to slide back in behind. And Leighton Reese was loath to give that spot up.
Well, it's neither of these guys' first rodeo. They knew what they were doing right there. They knew that, you know, you can only push that horse so far before you get thrown off. And they went to the edge, and then they backed off.
You want me to do more on the rodeo theme, or?
Well, you started.
This is up now into the carousel, and this is an interesting complex here as well. Kind of let it float out here, don't you? And then dive back toward the apex to get a run onto the front straight. And now, look at Gentilozzi. He's opening it up just a little bit here.
Paul's really, really good at this racetrack. Always has been. It's probably the strongest suit is this racetrack right here.
Now we're looking there. We're on board with Bell, and here's Ave once again trying to come up with something. Ave comes down the inside, and this time Ave is through. Boy, and he did it very decisively that time.
He stove it on in there, as we say. You know, he did that a good job right there. Brand new race car, too, this one.
Now there's his teammate. That's Brian Simo. Of course, started 10th. As you can see now, he dropped back to 29th. He's fighting his way back. Has picked up 10 spots thus far. But nonetheless, even though he picked up 3 spots in this last lap, Dorsey, this is not Brian's season.
Now, he needs another caution to happen right about now. Yeah. The way these guys have been going, you think one would come pretty soon. But it's not been Brian's season at all. He's just struggled and hasn't gotten it right. This is no exception. He got called on an infraction. I don't think he made it.
For Gentilozzi, the good news, even though Johnny Miller's his teammate, Miller's the guy who's really pushing him in the points championship, and Miller now a number of spots back in this train at this type. But right now we see that Gentilozzi is easing away, and we would have thought Tommy Archer would have been fighting a little bit better to be able to stay right with him, Cal.
Well, you would think so, but I just spoke to Will Moody, his crew chief, and he said, we really did not want to see this caution period. We think we've got a car that is a great setup for the longer runs. And he said, we've got high downforce on the car with this new body style. It's really working well around here. He said, we're not good on the initial restart, like the launch off the line. We're down a little bit on horsepower this weekend. They're trying some new engine stuff, and this latest engine really isn't quite what they've had in the past couple of races. So they wanted things to settle down, let the balance of the car come in, and then Archer could then maybe put the pressure on Gentilozzi. So this yellow probably helped Paul more than it did Tommy.
Well, Calvin, you mentioned that new body style, and at Road America, the rain obviously was the obvious wrench in the mix, but everybody was concerned running the new body style because they said we make too much downforce, and thus it's drag on the straights at Road America. I talked to Justin Bell, and he and Leighton Reese both said, I can't wait to get to Mid-Ohio. Tommy Archer's had the lap record here a few times in the past, and those guys, this is where they're really starting to show something.
I talked to Leighton Reese, and he said he went down a cog in every gear and still failed to hit the rev limiter. For the guys that know what a cog is, that's an old hot rod term for a gear. He went down on his gears and never got to the rev limiter because the car makes so much drag. When he gets to Texas, however, on a street course, watch out. I
would think so. It's going to be a factor. There's a good look at Ave, and entered as not only a teammate, but also picking up a little help from Tommy Bahama, the Casual Island Wear Company, and he's right behind Lewis. After he got around Bell, he'd like to move it up. Now, Tony Ave, I'll tell you, what a varied experience. It's pretty unbelievable. We're going to show you a little bit of Ave's background. That's what he's driving here. He's from Hurley, Wisconsin, and he loves racing here, has done so a lot. He was third here third at Road America last year, and last year in the rain at Detroit set the fastest race lap. But he started, as you take a look, he's running in the Atlantic Series this year. He actually has a win in Nazareth. He's had a great season, but he's a former snowmobile world champion, has spent a lot of time on the frozen ice circuits running Formula One and Pro Sprint sleds. This guy drives it all, and lately, prior to getting into the Atlantic Series, he's been doing a ton of midget and sprint car racing in USAC.
Did you see the birth date on Tony Ave? 10/10/71. That's when I started racing. I got boots that old.
Well, but think of it this way. Tony has an awful lot to live up to get to the records you've established. So there you go.
10/10/71. He's doing a good job.
He's doing a great job. There's a look back to Simo at this stage. Now, a couple laps back, look what happened to Simo trying to come up through traffic. Always tough here at Mid-Ohio. Watch this. Boom.
Tom Slow there in the 56 Corvette just didn't see him or didn't get him what he needed. And then again, look at here.
Right in front of him, that's Dan Miller.
Dan Miller does the big all-the-way 360. And then here again, Brian Simo, oh boy, all
right in front of him.
Oh, that's why you don't want to get in the back, because that all happens all around you. Of course, that was Joe Scorallo going around his Corvette.
So Brian Simo's working his way to the front, but it has been very eventful, that trip. Meanwhile, on board with Johnny Miller, 18 laps done at Mid-Ohio. The next round of the Trans Am Series for the VF Goodrich Tires Cup comes from Laguna Seca, live Saturday, September 8th, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. One of the great road racing facilities to match Road America out in the Monterey Peninsula. The Laguna Seca Circuit and Trans Am. Always a great mix live that Saturday afternoon. Make sure you check it out here on Speed Vision. Now, take a look at this. This battle continues. You're watching Justin Bell chased hard by Leighton Reese. Right behind him is Johnny Miller. And as we come out of the keyhole, look at this. We're going to follow Miller, but that's the footwork, the ballet on the pedals he's doing, Doris.
It's going to be all right foot right now because we're on the big straightaway. See him kicking through the gears, not using the clutch whatsoever. He's got it mashed down there, ready for the brake. He's left foot braking. There he is. Now watch what he does when he goes to blip to the downshift. No clutch. He's just revving that throttle a little bit. Quick. Gets at the gear he wants to, so he's not using the clutch on upshifts or downshifts. And that's, of course, the miracle of these modern-day gearboxes that you can do that. He's not really heel and towing at all. He's cheating it by just not doing anything with the clutch whatsoever. Watch him here, though. Really busy with both feet.
Now up and over this rise. Does he have to get out of it just a little bit?
He's using both pedals. You see him right there. He's not going full throttle. Watch that throttle pedal, folks. It doesn't mash down until he's on the straightaway. Watch it right here. He'll give it a little. Those are downshifts right there. Now watch. Here he starts to accelerate. There he's full throttle. Now he's off. Brake. And he's going to start blending some throttle right here. Just a little. Just a little. Watch. Not enough. Not yet. There you go. So you can't go full throttle through every place. They got too much horsepower. If you went full throttle, you just spin right around. You spin right out. So he's blending that throttle. And just he doesn't care about that clutch. Might as well just cut that pedal out.
Can you use the brake if you're starting to get a little slippery at the back of the car to kind of settle the back end down?
It depends on what's going on at the back, really, Greg. I mean, if the back's getting loose because it's, you've got too much throttle or wheel spin, then the brake's the right answer. If it's getting loose on the other hand because you're the other. That was easy for me to say.
The track's getting slippery. It doesn't help you.
What I was trying to say is if you're on the brake, per se, and the back end starts going around, it's because the front's got too much weight, then you go to the throttle.
Got it. Okay, now here is Johnny Miller at this point. Now, of course, Johnny Miller is leading in a sort of a championship within a championship. High-Tech Performance Trailers has established the High-Tech Owners Championship. Each car from each team is considered its own entry, and it's not just how you finish, it's how you promote yourself, the series, that sort of thing. Points are awarded, and that's where now Mr. Miller and his team have it over his teammate Jen Losey is tied with Archer's team a couple of points back. So having a good season in a lot of ways, and second in the actual Drivers' Championship as well.
Great shot out the windshield here of what it looks like to drive Mid-Ohio. Watch here as he brakes for the carousel. He goes out a little bit wide. Look at the concrete patch right there. He'll duck it back to the inside. Here's the launch. You got to make this left-hander without lifting.
Now, if we happen to catch this shot a little bit later on, one thing I've noticed is Ave seems to go much wider in the carousel square it a lot harder. Maybe just a different driving style. Maybe that's what that new chassis likes. But if we see that, maybe you could speak to that. On board now with Bell, looking back once again at this stage as he's in the 6th spot. Leighton Reese right behind him.
The surface here at Mid-Ohio is frustrating. You see right behind, looking out the back, you can see that there's concrete and there's asphalt. Look at Brian Simmel just got by around Kerry Alexander on onboard.
Yeah, picked up 13 spots. So Simmel continues to move up into nudging that top 10 territory. But he's praying right now for a yellow, obviously.
Great shot.
Something bad.
Great shot, Brian Simmel squaring off that corner. You saw a little wheel spin when he launched, but look at him pull away now. He got a good run off that, off the keyhole there. This is down into the fastest part of the course. These cars at 170 miles an hour.
Stand them on their nose and then head into the S's. One of the most invigorating sections of racetrack for driver and fan alike. Well, I'll tell you what, the S's absolutely packed with spectators this weekend, watching all the activity here at this multifaceted event here at Mid-Ohio. 22 laps of 45 done. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We want to show you the winners thus far in the 2001 season. Detroit Iron versus the World. Well, Boris said in a Ford won at Sebring. Gelati in the vet for Chevrolet at Long Beach. Then Gentilozzi 3 straight for Jag. Brian Simmel for the Mangusta at Sears Point. Tommy Archer back for Detroit in the Viper. And then Michael Lewis, another one for Jag, most recently at Road America. And, of course, all of this has had effects for the chase of that BF Goodrich Tires Cup, which is very coveted. And, obviously, there's Johnny Miller, currently second in the championship. He's never won it. He wants it. There's the guy who'd like to get it back. I mean, he's not used to not having it. But, sometimes we tend to forget that it belongs to somebody else still. And there he is, Mr. Simmel. Still his.
Look, he's trying to sleaze off with it. That's what he's up to.
There he is, Brian Simmel. Of course, problems today, although he has come back to 13th, and we talked about he needed a yellow, and that's where we are. We're under full course yellow, and so Simmel gets a little bit of help. Now, very interesting story here. We've talked since the onset of the race about the tire issue, and Calvin, maybe you can help us out a little bit on that.
When you watch, Noam, you may wonder why some of these drivers are sliding around on the racetrack. They got 4 BFGs on the car, should have a lot of grip, big rubber, right? But when you look at the contact patch, the actual part of the tire that's in contact with the road, it's not that big, about 35 square inches here with zero camber. Basically, the tire straight up, about the size of a 10 shoe. And then when you put some camber in the car, these guys run about 3 degrees of camber in the front end of the cars, reduces it even further. So to put that in relationship to your normal SUV, they have about 40 inches on each corner of that car. These cars have a lot less. That's why they slide around, guys.
And that's the fascinating part about it, because every input you got in these cars, Dorsey, throttle, brake, 650 horsepower, aero, and all that, it all comes down to 4 little contact patches like that. And if they don't work right, doesn't matter how effective the chassis the car is, you're in trouble. I want to go back to 1989. I believe somebody in the booth here won a championship that year. In one of the races he won on the way to it was right here. But Herb Hare, he made your life kind of miserable, I seem to recall.
Well, he made it miserable, but he's also a truly great friend. And we had a knockdown drag out from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And I ended up winning that championship. And in the victory speech, I said the only downside of the whole year was beating him and his family, because they put so much into it.
Did you see Herb coming out of one there? He cut that corner so tight, he broke the tire loose and smoked it.
Yeah, but I also saw him smoking at that engine because he blew that baby up, which I really liked when I was behind him, seeing that he had a V6 in there back then. That's what I'm talking about.
There you go. And, of course, driving the Ford in your rookie year in Trans Am and win the championship, and part of it coming right here at Mid-Ohio. 22 years the Trans Am has run here at Mid-Ohio. Gentilozzi's won the last couple of them. In 67 was the first race. It was Jerry Titus who won that one. Still working under yellow here at Mid-Ohio. Now, Gentilozzi leads it, but more information, Calvin, on Tommy Archer.
Well, he just radioed into the crew. He thinks he's got power steering problems on that race car right now, Greg. And Mid-Ohio is one tough racetrack when you've got power steering. If that thing goes out, and Dorsey can probably relate to that, it's really going to give him a hard time out there this afternoon with a lot of laps left.
You're right about that, Calvin. These things are really, really heavy in the steering. They have big fat tires, and of course they're made for power steering. And if you lose it, all you can do is just muscle it up, take a deep breath, and know that the rest of the day is just going to be plain miserable.
Well, and let's not forget that he may still be ailing somewhat from some broken ribs. He missed a race, and when he won at Portland, he was in a lot of pain at the end of that one. We're under yellow. We'll be right back.
The Trans Am Series for the VF Goodrich Tires Cup is brought to you by AmeriSuites, America's affordable all-suite hotel. Don't downsize, Amerisize.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. You'll notice the lights are out on the pace car. And look at Gentilozzi. He's trying to run up, get on the brakes, warm him up just a little bit. And I'm not sure you need to do that too much here today. It is pretty toasty. This is the 9th round of the championship. And Gentilozzi, today, by the way, if a Jaguar finishes, the highest placing Jaguar finishes in front of the highest placing Chevrolet, Jag will win the Manufacturers Championship. They've only won one before. That was in 1978. Bob Tooley has 7 wins in the Jag XJS. But a lot of laps yet to happen, and now we're green and back after it. Gentilozzi leads into 1. There's Archer, then Sed, Lewis, right there, the AmeriSuites Jag, and right behind him is Tony Ave. And I would suspect, Boris does not like these yellows with that hard left rear tire. He's hoping for a lot of green. So's Ave with that supposedly very well-balanced car. He'd like these guys to have to run those tires off a little bit. Here comes Simo, and he just made a move on Randy Ruhlman. That's for 12.
Simo, he's the one right now that's got the adrenaline flowing. He just got the break he needed. He had all the frustration. He's now up in the 12th place, like you say, and he can see the leaders now, which he couldn't do before. That's good for about a half a second lap.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on actually his lap times here and see if he's what he's running vis-a-vis the leaders up front. Of course, Gentilozzi will have clear track. Simo will have to continue to work traffic, and that can cost you more than that half a second a lap sometimes. Yeah,
and for Paul Gentilozzi, these breaks like this at yellows, he doesn't like that because he had his rhythm going, and now he's got to worry about these guys behind him again. What he wants to do is see Boris right there catch up with Archer, and those two have a big duke out.
And Boris is doing just that, but remember what Calvin told us a little while ago about Archer, that they like the longer runs. That's when their car starts to work better. So right now, Boris, this is the time he really has to do something and try and get by Tommy.
Yeah, he does. Of course, he doesn't know that. Boris doesn't know that Archer's looking for a long run. But nonetheless, he wants to get by there. Because look at Paul pulling away from the two of them already.
Boy, he's drawn away the margin in 1 lap, Dorsey, 1.1 seconds. So Gentilozzi has something here. Of course, set all over the back of Archer. There's Justin Bell still in that 6th spot. A lot of pressure right behind. There's Leighton Reese. And Leighton, the Banner Engineering, Phillips 66 vet, made the switch from the Pontiac he used to run to that new vet body style. And they're learning a brand new car. But he's come along. Boy, he looked good qualifying here.
Yeah, he did. Look, that's a great shot out the back right there, coming out of the keyhole. Justin with a good launch. You see him headed down, actually made some ground on Leighton right there. The use of the throttle and the downshift, you heard it there. You heard the gear go in with the little clunk, but the motor was revved perfectly for the downshift.
Now we jump back just a little bit, a couple of spots to Johnny Miller, who just seems handcuffed, Dorsey, back in 8th. He just hasn't been able to get by. These two guys, the car's not working quite as well as it seemed to be at Road America.
And even if it is, Mid-Ohio itself is just a real hard place to pass on. Catching somebody running with them, that's one thing. But you see these long strings of cars, you just can't break away.
So Miller's staying close and hoping he can work something here. But there's Bell. Bell now closing on Ave. And Calvin Fisk, Justin Bell, he said he was looking forward to Mid-Ohio, and we can see why.
Yeah, the car's been working well all weekend long. As soon as they rolled it off the trailer in first practice, he was immediately quick. And we'd like to check in with Justin, but we just spoke to Jimmy Durhag, and he said that they lost radio communication with Justin, but they said the lap times look good. They essentially set the car up with a little bit of understeering and to start the race. As the fuel load goes away, it should balance it out and give them a neutral car at the end.
Greg, watch this piece of bodywork in front of the cowl. You talk about 310 cubic inch V8 sucking. Look, almost hit it. Watch that piece.
Something wrong with Ave.
Watch that piece of bodywork. Every time he lifts, it comes up. Every time he gets on the throttle, that is suction. Ave broke right in our mirrors, folks. I mean, he was in the middle of that. There he is right there.
He is at a crawl. Something has let go. And he is just coasting now down to the S's after an unbelievable run. I'll tell you what, Ave has put up some remarkable runs in Trans Am cars in the past and has never had the luck to go with it. And it looks like it's just not his day once again. But I think he's convinced people, you give him the right piece, he'll be at the front.
I saw when he was about ready to pull off a little smoke from underneath. I think he might have blown the engine. I'm not sure, though.
Oh, and look at this. We have a new second place, and that is Boris Said. It's what we talked about. He found a way by Mr. Archer, and Boris is up in his second. And we're going to go back and take a look at what happened here. watching Bell there, but watch in front of them.
Up here, going up the straightaway. Oh, right there. It just looks like Boris had a really good run going up in the keyhole, or maybe Tommy missed his fifth gear upshift right there. I don't know. It looked like the car stumbled. Boris is by, and I guarantee you this is something that Paul Gentilozzi didn't want to see, to look in his rearview mirror and to see Boris. Of course, if he could win with this car, it'd be the first time win for a Panos in what, the sixth manufacturer this year?
Sixth manufacturer this year to do that. That would be a remarkable story. Now there you see Boris, although Archer's all over him, but look back. Right here, there's Ave. And he is at a crawl, and of course you saw them go by, and there is a dejected Tony Ave, although he has to be very pleased with the performance. He showed some people what he's capable of here, and I'll tell you what, Calvin Fish, the gentleman who designed that chassis, has got to be pleased with the potential it exhibited.
Well, he must be, Bill. Initially, tell us what put Tony out today.
I think it was something in the gearbox or in. We're not too sure. He's just going along, and all of a sudden he lost drive.
10 years since you built your first Trans Am car, you certainly learned a lot. This latest car looks really quick.
Yeah, it's fairly promising. Wish we could show it off a little bit better, but Tom Gloy Racing and Riley and Scott were doing real good with it for first showing, but can't wait for the next time we run it.
Okay, nice job today. And just a quick update on Archer. He's losing power. We believe he has a cracked header, guys.
Oh, that's unfortunate. So Archer in trouble perhaps as well. Now, one thing, Dorsey, and you might be able to answer this. The previous Riley and Scott chassis were updates of that one from 10 years ago. This is really the first clean sheet design, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's a new concept, and it is, in fact, showing a lot of promise.
All right, there's Borisset. He currently runs in second. Archer might be in trouble. As we now have completed 30 laps, we're 2/3 of the way in here at Mid-Ohio. We're going to show you our top 10 here at Mid-Ohio. Awful lot of racing unfolds during any given weekend, and if you don't catch it all, you can catch it on Sunday night. Speed Vision News Race Week every Sunday evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Time, right here in Speed Vision. If you miss it, you don't have to for long. Into the weekend, you can catch up. Speed Vision News Race Week, Sunday nights on Speed Vision. Well, the battling continues here, and we're looking now at the battle for essentially four spot. That's Michael Lewis, then it's Justin Bell, Leighton Reese, Johnny Miller, and those four really have been covered by that blanket, Dorsey, for a while.
Yeah, they have. In the meantime, we got 15 laps to go. Borisset has made that pass. However, he has not made any dent in Paul Gentilozzi. In fact, Paul Gentilozzi is clearly now set sail and is really opening a big gap. He doesn't need a caution anymore because I think he's really burning his car hard right now.
Yeah, 2.4 seconds, the official margin over said last time by start-finish. And Gentilozzi, of course, this is exactly the kind of run he needed after, as you mentioned in the Open, a couple of problematic races leading into Mid-Ohio. He needed one to just settle down and get points.
He really loves this racetrack, and he's really got it figured out. Look at
Miller.
Johnny Miller up the inside of Leighton Reese going into 7. Not going to make it this time.
Now, is that an example of the downforce of the new body style? That's where it helps you under braking. You can brake later and deeper. Reese just countered beautifully.
Yeah, it might be a little bit that. This isn't the fastest of straightaways. They only run like 160 or something here, not like Elkhart last week. But you can definitely tell that right through here, this part, the downforce makes the cars really good through this part.
So we'll watch it here now as they continue their battle. Look at this right here. Now, Justin Bell having some designs, it looks like, on Lewis as he closes up just a little bit. There's Gentilozzi. Here comes Borisset in the Panos. There's Archer, the Blue Viper. And then here's this battle for fourth. And very close indeed. Interestingly, the margin back to Johnny Miller from the leader is only 3.5 seconds or thereabouts. So it's quite close. Now, here's Justin Bell showing the nose again, trying to rattle Lewis. We're going to drop back. Here's Brian Simo. And Simo right now, Dorsey, has cracked the top 10. And the last lap, he actually ran a lap a couple of tenths quicker than Gentilozzi.
He's in the train now. He's in the right train to get where he needs to go. And running those 0.2 of a second quicker laps is hard to do when you're in traffic. So he might be, in fact, the fastest car on the racetrack right now, but a long way to go.
Yeah, he's 10 seconds behind Gentilozzi at this point, so he's got to get some help somewhere. And but I'll tell you what, this is a great never say die effort. And Brian Simmons answering some critics. Here comes Bell, and this time does he? Look at Lewis, going to break it up around the outside, but better grip perhaps for Bell, and he's able to stick it in the S's. And Justin Bell moves up and into the 4th spot. Lewis now 5th. Oh, look at Reese, almost got into the back of Lewis. Looked like Lewis just stumbled a little bit.
That was a racing savvy you saw right there from Justin Bell. He not only made the pass, but he blocked Mike Lewis from running up the inside like we saw him do earlier when they bumped one time before. He said, okay, I remember that. Not again.
And guess who's coming on like a freight train right behind Johnny Miller? Lou Gelati. We've seen him just in the back of a couple of shots, and he is closing. So this battle might just become a 5-car train. There's Sweet Lou right behind Miller. And there's Miller as we wrap around the carousel and onto the front straight. There is Lou Gelati coming to the front. Currently sits in the 8th spot. And the action continues here at Mid-Ohio. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. There's Paul Gentilozzi. Margin now 2.3 seconds in hand over Boris Said. There's Boris. But you know what? Boris has stabilized that just a little bit. And Calvin Fish right now, Gentilozzi leads him, but it looks like Boris may be coming up with a bit of an answer.
Well, Boris is certainly running that harder left rear. That's going to be better in the longer runs. But I just spoke to the Rocket Sports crew. They made a major shock change this morning to really bring the car working together. It's important they have the spring shocks and sway bars working together. They said they made a shock change, but they really felt it would give Paul full adjustability with the rear sway bar. Typically, these cars loosen up towards the end of the run when the fuel load burns away. They've given him maximum range now, so he should be able to dial in and keep the pace going.
All right, Calvin. Well, it was interesting. They made that change, and in the morning warm-up this morning, 4 cars got into the 124s, and only Gentilozzi did it qualifying. But Gentilozzi was quickest at a 124.4. A little bit of damage there, minor, to the side of Boris's machine, that right front spoiler, but otherwise seems to be working okay. Down through the S's, that's the Applied Computer Solutions Panos. Boy, he would love to have something happen here and bring that manufacturer its first win. And that's the margin. I mean, you can see it's that close. And looks like Boris is trimming off a little bit, but some of that might be Gentilozzi. Got a big lead and is just letting it stabilize right now, conserving tires perhaps at this point. Now, Gentilozzi's had a pretty good season. You take it the laps led during the year so far. Gentilozzi 94, Simo 83, but remarkably only 1 win for Simo to 3 for Gentilozzi. Tommy Archer, most of those coming in Portland, and Boris Said sits in the mix pretty strongly as well. Now, we talked a little bit about those manufacturers' points. Jaguar leads it right there. You can see the margin, the 74 points for Chevy, and if the top place Jag finishes in front of that top place Chevy, Jaguar will clinch here their 2nd championship.
That would be great. In the meantime, I look at the top of the screen, and I saw that Justin Bell also. Oh, that's Kerry Alexander has got the other Panos parked off the side. In the meantime, Justin Bell has taken over 3rd. I just saw at the top of the screen an orange car. We'll see right here. There's further. In fact,
yes, he has. Well, we heard the report that Archer may be in trouble with losing power in the engine. Now, that could be overheating. It could be a header problem, any number of things, right?
They talk about a cracked header, one of the header pipes being broken, and you lose a little bit of power. These are very tuned exhaust on these cars. Everybody has a different way of doing it. Oh, Mike Lewis in trouble. Mike,
he just missed the turn, or
no,
he got it too hot, maybe?
He might have, but no. Look here, look here. Lewis now loses the position, and I think, I don't know, I didn't see that he was in trouble. Maybe he missed a downshift, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, we're full course yellow, but that pass happened right before the yellow came out, and it's probably for Kerry Alexander, who's parked right up in the approach to the keyhole there, and they may want to get that car moved as quick as possible, but nonetheless, Gentilozzi leads it. But the important thing here, at least from what we saw, was that pass that Leighton Reese made on Lewis happened just before that yellow came out, so it should stick.
Other than that car right there with the big grin on its face, you know who else does?
Oh, yeah.
Boris Said. Boris Said has got the same grin as Miller's car does.
And Simo can't be exactly too bumming about this. He's been running very quick, and he gets to make up a pretty substantial margin as well. Now, last week, this has been a tough stretch because it was only a week ago that they ran a Road America, and it was a damp start, and it was to get far worse. Here's the launch. Gentilozzi had the pole, pulled one out after Lewis had been quickest in almost every session. Gentilozzi pulled one out and led into turn 1. But you know what? It was going to last exactly about 3 corners because he went off in turn 5 and did a nice job to avoid the gravel. But you can see moisture coming. There's Kerry Alexander, big spin. And Boris Said tried to go around the outside of Leighton Reese, and Leighton never knew he was there and just eased Boris off track.
Greg, you drive these races like this, and you wish you think, what the heck am I doing? I could be fishing. I'll be down in the Keys, which is exactly where I am.
And one of the nice things for Gentilozzi is look at what happened. It just went awash. Absolute downpour. That packs the gravel. That allowed Gentilozzi to get out. But at turn 5, everything, it just exploded with rain. Reese went out. Now watch Mike Davis here. He loses it way back. Boom. Collects Reese. That was enough. Steve Pelkey went off and just missed John Schaller's car in Canada corner. Archer ran straight off into the barriers down in turn 5. Didn't do the damage. And here at the point, your leader was Mike Lewis. He had a spin, lost a couple of spots, but the red flag came out. They have to revert back to the previously completely scored lap. Lewis awarded the win. Brian Simo's day, bad there as well as he got stuck in the gravel. But for Mike Lewis, who's been looking for a win for a long time, he got it, and he was elated.
Yeah, it was a great day for the Amerispeeds team. I mean, it's been 4 long years, and we didn't know if it was ever going to happen. But finally, something went our way, and the car was really hooked up, as you can see from the race. We were able to move away whenever the track went green. Great day for us. Obviously, conditions could have been better, and it got stopped early. But I think that was the right thing to do too. And we just need to keep that rolling and going on into here in Mid-Ohio, and that's what we plan to do.
Wants to keep the momentum alive. Just had a little bit of a bobble there, but he had a pole at Cleveland a couple of years ago. He's always been quick, but he had been winless. You can't say that about Mike Lewis anymore. He's a Trans Am winner. We'd like to remind you that Totally NASCAR with Steve Burns is available on Speed Vision weeknights, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're into NASCAR, you need to be watching Totally NASCAR with Steve Burns weeknight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Speed Vision. We continue to run under a full course caution. A big crowd on hand today. Really enjoying all the activity here. Says SCCA national level racing and preparation for the runoffs coming up. The LMS has been here and Trans Am is here. Earlier, Calvin talked about the tires and the contact patches, but Calvin, there are other issues with tires to be concerned about as well.
Absolutely, Greg. In fact, the BF Goodrich tire engineers were talking to me this morning, talking about the fact they've had a couple of punches this weekend, which really weren't punches. The tires went down, but under further investigation, they found no damage to the tire whatsoever. The real key is in here in the valve core here. What you're going to have is this little spring, and that's basically what seats it and stops the tire from coming out. When the tire is going at about 165 miles an hour, that's over 2,000 RPM, and what can happen is with centrifugal force, it will unseat this valve here and basically let the tire out. So what the tire engineers really make the teams pay careful attention to is this little valve cap. Inside there, okay, has a nice little seal. They screw that down tight, and that stops that tire valve from going down and letting the air out. So the tire engineers are paying particular attention here, particularly on the long, fast straightaway, so it's a real factor.
Well, thanks very much, Calvin. And, of course, Calvin originally hails from England. Here it's centrifugal force, I believe.
It's centrifugal there, though.
And it's the same thing.
Ask him about a carburetor.
How you say it.
Carburetor aluminum, too.
Yeah. Now, take a look at this. This is sort of the car park here.
That is, no, I can't believe it. I mean, after all the Dorseyisms we've had over the last 5 years here in Trans Am, and you're giving me a grief here in pit lane. Unbelievable. Well, you guys love me.
You don't like Equalate?
What was that? You got an accent, Greg. I can't understand
It's confliction. It's conflictions if you have more than one of them.
That's absolutely correct. Calvin, hey, man, we love you, too. Lighten up down there in the pits. I know it's hot. We're having fun with you here. Now, take a look here. As the field's starting to pick up a little bit of pace. There is Brian Simo, and we are anticipating going green. Pace car is in, and back to green we are. And we complete lap 38, so we're closing in. Only 7 to go. And Boris said has to work the magic he worked on Archer. He's got to do it right now.
Yeah, and then look at Justin Bell, of course, hungry for his first win as well. He's not going to give up. Right now we had a 7-lap sprint race, and it will be indeed that.
Look at this. There's Leighton Reese going inside of Archer in a bump. Oh, did they or didn't they? Maybe not. Archer got out of there, but if he's got engine problems, Leighton, well, he was close enough, but see if Leighton's able to do anything going into the S's. Oh, look at that. Right there. Oh, and here comes Bell. Bell down the inside of Boris Saad. Boris not having any of it. Sweeps across the nose. Boy, blunts that attack and holds on, but this is exactly what Gentilozzi wants to see as well.
Yeah, you're right about that. Justin tried to return the favor of that big slam down the inside half a race ago. That is what Gentilozzi wants to see. These guys really hammering each other because look at him starting to open up that lead now. Ooh, you see Boris tap the brakes right in the middle of that corner. That's a left-foot brake technique. Means he's got some understeer right there.
trying to plant some weight on the nose, get it to turn in better.
Exactly. Put some weight on the nose to get it to bite some. You saw it right in the middle of the corner. Unusual. Shows you he's using the left foot.
But also that slows you down. Oh, look at Bell going way wide. Oh, Boris loose on the concrete. Bell might have a run. Here we go.
He could dig up right now. He could dig right up the inside.
Come on, let's see if he can do it alongside. He's trying it. No, Boris shuts the door once again.
Boy, Paul just moves further away. Nothing you can do with your Boris said right now. He's going to have to defend. He got in that corner a little too deep, and you saw it.
Watch this, up to the keyhole. This is going to be pivotal. Getting out of this turn is everything. Boris looked pretty good. Bell looked all right. Broken loose just a little bit, but he got out of there good, didn't he?
He dug it in really tight. Watch it right now. It should top end on the panos. Boris knows that he's moving inside. He says, oh, talk on it. Too late. Oh, he's on the rev limiter. Did you hear the rev limiter?
Got the rev limiter, but he's alongside. Boris knows this outside line, though. And Boris, Bell just
cut him off.
Bell just shut the door. He got nudged.
He got it tapped in, guys. Bell shut the door on him, said, no, you're not going to go up there. Boris said, well, doggone it, take that then. And he hit the rev limiter. That's how good a run he had. He was top gear rev limiter.
Well, he had that great draft off Boris as well, and he made it work. And Justin Bell showing a little aggression. He was not going to let Boris stay put on the outside. To go here at Mid-Ohio, and let's see what Justin Bell can do. He's by Morissette, and he's got 5 laps to try and do something about Jen Losey. The problem is Jen Losey's margin, 2 seconds. 2 seconds right now over Justin Bell. And Justin has got to dig deep and come up with something. We've noticed something flopping around inside the cockpit of Boris's car. It looks like maybe a piece of tape or something's come loose. No big issue. Here's the battle for 5th.
Wow, the one thing it showed me is Justin Bell's car with Jim Durhag as the crew chief and owner. They're geared too short for the draft. He did a good draft right there. He hit the rev limiter, and that isn't good. That means he's out of top gear before he could have gotten to the end straight with some more mile per hour.
And look at this. There's Lou Gelati who gets by Archer, who's fading. That's going to push Archer back to 8th. Gelati up to 7th, who almost ran off the track. And right behind them is Tommy Dreese. And Archer definitely struggling here. And here comes Simo behind them. And that's Stu Hainer right behind Simo.
That is Stu Hainer, and the brand new, that's the first time he's been in that car. That's the rebuilt Gary Longo car he's in. First time in the car, and he is right in that same train.
Stu said for some reason he got in that car and it just felt very comfortable for him to drive, and he's doing a nice job. And there is that scrap as we're watching that battle. Lou Gelati just in front of Archer. That's 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and Hainer sits in 11th right now. There's Simo. Right behind him is Hainer as they work through the carousel and onto the front straight. But we're talking about Justin Bell up at the front of this group, and he cut off 2/10. He trimmed 2/10 into Jen Losey's lead. And Calvin Fish, Jim Durhag has to have applied a lot of experience to that car here.
Calvin, he's about 3/10 of a second a lap faster. We're about a second and 2/10 behind with 5 laps to go. But catching Paul's one thing, passing Paul's another one. You know, I've raced with him too, and he can be pretty wide. You know, we've had a good race. We had a little strategy. We kind of let the guys burn their tires off in the beginning. The car was a little pushy with the fuel load, and I think we've had this conversation before at Laguna, haven't we? And the car came back real strong here at the end of the race. So we'll just roll the dice and see if Justin can catch Paul and do anything with it.
He had the conversation at Laguna, guys, and that day Kenny Wilden took the first win for Durhag Motorsports.
Well, he does have the savvy of a lot of years as the driver, and certainly strategizing, if you will. Now look at this battle here. Is Hainer and Simo. Oh, and Hainer got underneath Simo. Looks like Simo suddenly has slowed up just a little bit. He's dropping back.
He's got huge push. I think he might have a cut left front tire. I'm not sure about that, but he had a huge understeer. He couldn't get the car turned in at all. You know, I drove for Jim Durhag. It's really good to see a smile on his face as Archer almost loses on the entrance to the carousel.
I wondered, looking at Simo's car, if maybe there was a little rub and go, and if he didn't end up maybe having a valve stem problem of his own. Well, watch that. Look at this move. That's Dreese getting by Archer, or did he? No. Here comes Simo.
And they bump, and watch,
yeah.
I just saw right as Dreese came on the pit straightaway, he's got trouble too. His car is also having trouble. I think both these cars, the 88 there and Dreese's car, have cut tires. I believe they do. We'll see in a minute.
Boy, tough deal here. Of course, that's, yeah, you got Dreese smoking from that left rear corner badly. That's probably body work that's folded up on that tire, and if it isn't cut, it sure could be in a hurry.
I saw the smoke last lap, so he's definitely got tire rubbing, that's for sure.
Now here's the story. Now, no, that's not Ave. That's Jim Matthews right behind Brian Simo, who is the third car on the Tom Bloy stable here. And Simo's in a world of hurt right now.
Simo's got a tire going down. I almost guarantee it. He can't defend against anything right now. It's not flat, but it's not turning anymore either.
So it's better for him to try and stay out the last 3 laps in the pit. I mean,
well, he's gonna
either way, he's losing a lot of position.
Look at this, though. He's got everybody bottlenecked up behind him, and they're not going to cut him much slack here with just a few laps to go.
Yeah, it's Randy Ruhlman, the Freeform Line Products vet, right behind him. The Blue Machine behind him. Bob Ruhlman, the Senwell Corp vet. There's a good study of 2 different body styles. Ruhlman, the new body style. Ruhlman, the old body style, right behind him. Sorry, Dirk.
The other thing that could have happened on Brian, if it's not the tire going down, they could have knocked the towing out. You saw him slam really hard side to side. Handling's gone on the 88, but I think it...
right there, you can see it. He turned in, and he had to make about 3 adjustments just as he approached to the turn, didn't he?
Yeah, I can almost guarantee that he's knocked the towing out on that car pretty hard.
2 to go. We've got 2 laps remaining. The margin's still 1.8. So Justin now has not been able to take anything more off Gentilozzi. And it's Gentilozzi's at this stage, barring any unforeseen developments. Simo continuing just to struggle. He's holding off Ruhlman, but just barely. Oh, look at that move by Dan Miller, sliding up the inside of Bob Ruhlman.
Yeah, right now Brian Simo's got a double handful. The right tire's going one way and the left's going another. He's in the center of the 2 of them going, come on, guys, just one more lap.
You know, Trans Am didn't race here last year, but if you discount that, and he does hang on to win here, 20 years to the season when he made his first ever road race start here at Mid-Ohio. Gentilozzi will win his 3rd straight here at Mid-Ohio. He won in 98. Closest finish ever over his teammate Bill Saunders, 6/100ths of a second. And, of course, he won in 99 as well. This one's going to mean a lot because it's going to do a lot for the championship. And if he hangs on, it'll bring Jag the Manufacturers Championship, something that he's very keen to do as well. White flag, 1 to go. There's Gentilozzi. There's Bell. There's Borsett in 3rd, Leighton Rees 4th, and Michael Lewis rounding out the top 5 on board with Bell.
Well, I tell you what, I'm real happy for Justin Bell as well, because Justin Bell, you know, a rookie, he's been learning the trade. It's been out of a much higher tech car with much more downforce into this car, and he's got it mastered now. And he's in contention going into next year. If he stays in the series, he could be a champion.
Pretty serious points implications, too. If Gentilozzi wins, he'll have about 250 points, and Johnny Miller currently in 6th. And if that's where he ends up, he will have only 219 points. So a big swing in that regard. Now, of course, 3rd and 4th in the points are going to play a role, too. But Archer dropping badly as well. So this is going to be huge for Gentilozzi.
It would be. The Rocket Sports team has never had a 1-2 finish. Very few teams, including the Roush team, ever could pull off such a thing. A 1-2 on the championship is unbelievably tough to do. And then if they can just keep it cool for a couple more races, they might just do it.
Gentilozzi overturned 11 in that big rise. One last time into the chute. Now the left-hander that's going to lead him into the carousel. One long right-hander here. Bell closing in. Gentilozzi's backed off just a little bit. Doesn't want to make any mistakes. Doesn't want to throw it away. Through the final turn onto the front straight. And Paul Gentilozzi wins another one here at Mid-Ohio. Justin Bell, he was 3rd at Portland. He betters that now to the 2nd at Mid-Ohio. Borisett, another great run for the Panos. Leighton Rees ends up in 4th. And Michael Lewis takes the 5th spot. But it is Paul Gentilozzi, the winner, and expanding that points margin with a very impressive run from pole here at Mid-Ohio. We'll be back to visit with our winner right after this.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio for the 4th time this year. It's Paul Gentilozzi who pulls that Rocket Sports Jag into victory lane. Here he comes. He's pulling himself out of here. Hard day's work in the office for Paul, but Paul, let's catch up with you, mate. What a run today. You own this place. Last 3 races you've won them, mate.
Well, you know, there's so many things that make a team a winner. And today it was Mark and Troy and Marty really working hard on making a great race car. My son Tony we had torque. Oh, man. I could short shift coming onto this front straightaway from second to third, about 7,000 RPMs, and that's what made the car fast. I never had to work the car all day. My son John made some critical calls on the data side. What a fantastic bunch of guys.
I haven't worked out the points, Paul, but you're probably going into the last two races with a similar lead in the championship to you had last year. What did you learn from last season?
Well, this year I'm racing. Last year we hung back, and that's not the way you win championships. You go out there, you lead every lap. I know it's not always popular, but you got to go.
Great job today.
Thanks, Cal. It means a lot.
Well, stay with us. We're going to be right back to Victory Lane. We're going to catch up with more of the winners. Great run by Justin Bell and Boris Said. They are on the podium today. We'll be right back.
The Trans Am Series for the VF Goodrich Tires Cup has been presented by VF Goodrich Tires. Take control.
Well, welcome back to Victory Lane. We're here with Justin Bell and Boris Said. Justin, last four races, mate, you've really been in the thick of it. You struggled a little bit in the rain at Road America, but at Sears and Portland, you're really for real this year in Trans Am.
Yeah, it justifies my decision to come to the series. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, I'd like to thank the Durhug team, Quinn and everyone, and AJ for doing an incredible job. You know, it's anytime you come up against drivers like Boris and Paul and John and Tommy and everything, you do well. So I'm very happy. The car worked out all right in the end. So and well done for him. He never stops. Huh?
Speaking of him, Boris Said you had a long afternoon, mate. How'd it go today?
I didn't go too bad. I mean, I just want to thank Mike Davis and everyone from Applied Computer Solutions. He couldn't be here today. He's on vacation with his wife and kids, Sandy. And, this painthouse is getting better and better and better. And these BF Goodrich tires held up all day long. I hate to see those yellows, but it was a good, fun day.
Great run.
Thanks.
Well, Justin's right. Boris never quits. He ran a large ALMS race, a lot of time in the car, and then jumped onto this. Here's our final result. Gentilozzi, as he expands it, Bell, his best finish of the season. The big problems, I think, are Brian Simo, and just a tough day for Glory Racing, although Ave ran well, but a great day for Jim Matthews, one of his best finishes.
A great day for road racing in general. For people who weren't at Mid-Ohio this weekend, you missed a big one. Not only this race, but every race. Man, this was road racing in its finest.
Some great SEC Club racing preparing for the runoffs, which, of course, will be on Speed Vision, too. It's going to be great. Let's take a look at the points now after this race. Gentilozzi is going to expand it out. Look at that. He's got 32 now. He's got 32 points in hand, 52 over Simo. Archer slips way back, so some problems there. It's been a tough one. And by the way, Paul Gentilozzi got the fast lap. He had the pole. He led every lap, and he won. He collects $12,500 from Simple Green Clean Sweep Award money. Awesome job for him. Of course, we want to remind you, speedvision.com, a great source for all things racing on the internet. Always check that out and watch all the racing you can right here in Speed Vision. For Dorsey Schrader and Calvin Fish, I'm Greg Creamer. Thank you so much for joining us here in Mid-Ohio. We'll see you next time at Laguna. Take care, everybody.